Under the same moon, we share the love. Embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. And now do we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. And now here we stand in love's pure might.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to News at Noon with Watching the World. We have so much to talk about today. In fact, it's so good to look out into the audience and see the moderators are here. People are really pushing the channel. We appreciate each and every one of you. When it comes to what's happening in Minneapolis, what do you guys think? Do you think that the government is going too far? Do you think the government needs to be held accountable? A lot of people feel that way, but today we're going to look at it from both sides to try to come to a reasonable conclusion as to what's really happening there. As you know, perhaps you've heard they're sending out Tom Homan out to Minneapolis. He even worked during Barack Obama's term, but he's known as the enforcer, and today that's the breaking news that everybody wants to hear about. So we're going to get to that. Let's check it out with Tom Homan. As you come in, like, share, and subscribe to the channel.
I will say, though, Jonathan O'Meara, fascinating statement coming from the president just 20, 30 minutes ago, suggesting that he has made a decision. There had been a sort of back and forth angling between Kristi Noem and Tom Homan. Tom Homan, of course, critical early on after Renee Good's killing of people who made snap judgments on whose fault it was. And Homan said, we need to conduct an investigation and then make a determination. Well, it appears the president has decided to make a change in Minneapolis.
Yeah, the president just moments ago posted on Truth Social that he is sending White House border czar Tom Homan to Minnesota.
Now, you guys probably know Tom Homan because he was recently in the media for taking a $50,000 bribe. We haven't heard much more about that, but he's known as the enforcer.
Trump wrote in part this: he has, meaning Homan, not been involved in that area, but knows and likes many of the people there. Tom is tough but fair and will report directly to me. Now, whether that's a de-escalation or not, we do not know. But it is something different, empowering Homan there, perhaps making him the face of this as opposed to Kristi Noem. We should note, though, the president yesterday also posted a long screed on Truth Social saying that, he blamed Democrats in Minnesota actually for inciting the violence that led to these deaths because they were resisting ICE operations.
Now, that's a key ingredient. People on the left are pointing to the right. People on the right are pointing to the left. Yesterday on Facebook, I saw a guy state that this individual ran toward the police with a gun in his hand. And as you look at the video, we're going to go through the video frame by frame next. I want you to keep that in mind. This is the narrative that's being put out there, but it's very important that we stick to the facts. Remember, in dealing with the young lady that lost her life recently, I would not go on record as to saying anything in regards to the vehicle hitting the officer until we had video to substantiate what really happened. And once I determined that he was nudged by the vehicle, we actually presented it that way. So it's no different when it comes to this particular case. We have to be honest. And in the video, I want you to pay attention. Is it true that he has a gun in his hand and he's trying to fight with the officers? We have to take this as it stands. We have to take it in truth, and we're going to get to that next.
Yeah. So on Homan also, it's interesting, over the weekend I saw a clip Sobroff posted. And
guys, we have roughly 300 people here. Please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much.
And interviewing Homan some time ago, who warned that if this continued, people were going to needlessly die. And that, of course, has happened. Let's hope he is a very tough guy. But again, if any discipline can be brought to the situation there, it'd be a vast improvement over what is happening now with,
I'm not sure if toughness and discipline is what's really going to prevail here, because last night, and I also put out the video, you actually had protesters at the hotels where the ICE officers are staying, and they already turned things down. So that does not sound like peace. It doesn't sound like unity. It sounds more like fighting back and retaliation.
Between Kristi Noem and
Stephen Miller,
Bovino,
Greg Bovino.
Is he that guy in the funny jacket?
He's the guy who wears the cosplay.
The cosplay stuff. Well, those people, as the Wall Street Journal editorial page said today, are not interested in doing their jobs in a way that the American people could understand. Their main goal is owning the libs. And as the Wall Street Journal editorial page says this morning, that is backfiring horrifically on Republicans.
And if I may, they've opened up the administration just to more trouble. I mean, if they...
Put a 1 in the chat if you think Tom Homan will make a positive difference, or put a 2 if you think it's just going to make matters worse. So tell us how you feel with the numbers. Thank you.
Do have any recourse. The family of the victim here may find it to be defamation, to be calling him an assassin, to be saying he was brandishing a gun, to saying he wanted to murder federal agents. So that these comments could be opening up the administration just to more headaches around all of this, Jonathan.
Let me be frank with you guys. I do this every day. And from what I determine, looking out into the masses and how people operate, for the most part, people, once they hear a certain narrative, they do not look back to say, oh, well, that was wrong, or the media got it wrong. So when the government comes out right after this shooting and they say that this guy was a terrorist, a lot of people, that's how they're going to perceive this entire situation. They're not going to even care to go see the video. Some people, for whatever reason, cannot stomach looking at certain things. So the narratives that are being put out often prevail in these type of circumstances, right?
Yeah, from a number of officials. So we'll see. Homan heads to Minnesota tonight. Trump, though, also in that same post, repeated unfounded claims about Democratic lawmakers, including Representative Omar. Meanwhile,
So we're seeing a whole lot of propaganda being put out, and it's actually working to divide the nation. I want to take some moments now, and I want you guys to pay attention as we break down this whole shooting frame by frame. And this YouTuber did a great job with presenting the information.
Angles in the frame by frame of this morning's ICE shooting of a man here in Minneapolis. It was murder, not self-defense. In this first clip, which appears to be from a few minutes before shots were ever fired, we can see.
Okay, so already we see the guy backing up. You guys, I really trust you tremendously. What is in his hand? Is that a gun, or is it a phone, or perhaps something else? Tell us in the chat, what is he holding in his hand as he's backing up? Tell us all about it.
That the victim was filming ICE along with others. This is confirmed by later footage. We can see that it was the ICE officers that initiated contact in this clip.
Okay, already we have the surfer says it's a phone. Okay, Jordan says cell phone. Okay, Wet One says he was unarmed. It was a phone. Everybody's saying a phone. Ben says it's a phone. No one is saying it's a gun, but a lot of Americans, a lot of people throughout the world are saying that the guy had a gun in his hand. And not only did he have a gun, they're saying that he was running toward ICE, okay? So far, we don't see that in the video.
By pushing the victim back towards the sidewalk. And again, we see this behavior in the next clip. Here we can see that the ICE officer is forcefully shoving these in.
Okay, so the ICE officer is pushing down a female. In a different video, you can determine that it appears to be a female. And there's another female there. Looks like she has a brown top on, maybe black pants. The officers are kind of, I think they're trying to stop ICE from doing their business. I don't know for sure, but it appears that way. Okay. And the gentleman that's going to lose his life in this video, he's actually trying to ward off ICE. He's trying to protect the ladies. Okay. So let's keep going.
Individuals towards the side.
Okay. So now he has his hands up in the air. And could you guys tell us, what is the ICE officer doing? What is the ICE officer doing to the guy who's going to lose his life here in the video? What are they doing? Okay, Ben says, where are the MAGA gun defenders? Okay, Tim says, crooked liberal Democrat. Okay, all right, all right. Zoe says, this woman looks miserable. All right, so Jeff says Mace. Okay, so Jeff, you get $25. I need you to send over your Cash App to the email, but you got it right, so you win $25 for this cold winter day. All right, so let's get back to the video. So he has his hand up in the air. They're spraying him. We're doing it frame by frame.
The victim is helping an individual over to the sidewalk when the ICE officer shoves the person in gray.
So the aggressive behavior so far, would you say, who has the most aggressiveness that we've seen so far? Now, keep in mind, these videos have been edited, so we're not seeing it in their entirety. But what do you guys, based on what you see so far, where's the aggressiveness coming from? We're just going to look at this for what it is and honestly, okay? All right, Jeff, I will definitely follow up with you. But you can email me either way. If you have email, we'll figure it out to get you what you rightly want. Okay. All right. So we see that ICE is pushing the lady down. Okay.
And then goes to shield the person in gray, and when he starts getting pepper sprayed just inches away from his face. You can see that he puts his hand up, turns his face away, and says, it's okay. Again, he is de-escalating.
Okay, so far this guy is not exhibiting any type of aggressiveness on his own merit. He seems to be protecting the females that are involved here.
The situation. We can see.
And again, we don't have the entire story. We don't know what happened before all of this occurred, but we're just going off of what's before us here.
Here that he's putting his phone that he was just filming with into his pocket, probably to protect it. This is when multiple ICE officers descend on him. They attack him while he's attempting to help the person in gray up. Here it appears one of the officers pistol whips the victim in the head.
Okay, so now you have, how many officers, we don't have to be correct here, how many officers would you say has joined the battle against this one man? Tell us what you think. Let's see what people think about the matter. John says, why are all the political people so mentally unhinged, left and right? That's right. That's the key ingredient. Left and right are unhinged, and we really need to figure this out if we want to save our country, save ourselves. Okay. All right. Okay. There's about, some people are saying 6, others are saying 8. So between 6, 8, some even says there's 4 officers. But at any rate, you can see the gentleman getting hit in the head, what appears to be some sort of hard item, perhaps a weapon, right, from the ICE officer.
Numerous times. The victim, meanwhile, keeps his arms at all times, either on the ground in front of him or basically right in front of his head.
So the guy is basically putting himself in a very vulnerable position. He has his hands out, extending beyond his head at any rate. We don't see him punching, kicking, or doing anything of the like.
We see the officer in gray grabbing at and trying to pull something from his waistband. This appears.
Okay, so this is the key point. While he's stooping there, it appears that there's a weapon in his waistband, and you'll see this officer come and take the weapon off of him. Let's look at it.
To be the alleged weapon that he was carrying. It's important to note that it's been confirmed that the victim.
So it's the guy there in the light gray jacket. At this point, he's grabbed the weapon that was in the waist area, and he starts to walk away. We're going to go back and check it out more, but I want you to focus on the guy to the left here. He takes the weapon, and now you're going to see him walk. See there? He has the weapon. This is an officer. And he's going to walk away.
A permit to carry in Minnesota. Both concealed and open carry are permitted in Minnesota with a license. After he has been disarmed, this officer then crosses behind him and begins to shoot him.
You see that? So if you look at the guy who had the gray jacket on, he's grabbed the weapon from the, we'll call him the victim. He's walking away. And now you're going to see this officer come behind a man that's kneeled down, stooped over, right? And watch what happens.
In the back. A total of 10 shots by my...
Okay, the guy that's running toward us in this video, he's the officer that has retrieved the weapon, right? So it's very close to him just turning his back. He secured the weapon, and the other officer just casually comes behind the man as he's kneeled down, and he shoots him in the back. Not only does he shoot him in the back, there's probably a series of, I'll let you guys answer. How many shots do you think was actually put out toward this victim here? How many shots do you think he took? Tell us what you think. Let's see. Some, I've heard the numbers that's put out in the media, but let's see what you guys have to say. How many times was he shot? Okay, 10 times. Okay, Pretty Tings. Pretty Tings, you get the $25 today. You answered first, so send me your information. I think you won before, so I'll just send that to you. Okay, so we've had quite a few winners today. Thank you guys for participating quickly. We have Jeff and Pretty Things so far that have each won $25. Okay, let's get back to the video. I want to go back a little bit and show you guys. We're going to look at this one more time to make sure we get it right.
We can see that the ICE officer is forcefully shoving these individuals towards the side.
I mean, the lady, she gets shoved. She goes down hard. Let's call it for what it is. Still, right, we went through the video. I really need someone in the audience to show me where this man had a gun in his hand. Now, we could get into the logistics, who's right, who's wrong. We're just going through what's happening in these particular frames. And to this point, I have not seen this man brandish a gun out of his hand and point it or threaten an officer. All right, so let's look at this again.
The victim is helping an individual over to the sidewalk when the ICE officer shoves the person in gray. The victim then goes to shield the person in gray, and when he starts getting pepper sprayed just inches away from his face.
You know, a lot of people get upset because I'm going through it and calling it for what it is. But when we did the same thing with the lady that was actually taken out by an officer, when I broke down how the officer was actually struck by her vehicle, people had no problems with that. But sometimes when you present different facts or what we believe to be facts, anything can be edited. We don't rule things out. But when it's not so favorable or it does not go with the common narrative of the media, people get so upset and they want to push back. But we're going through this, letting the video do most of the talking.
You can see that he puts his hand up, turns his face away, and says, "It's okay." Again, he is
He's actually giving his back to the officers, correct? He's giving his back to the officers, right?
Escalating the situation. We can see here that he's putting his phone that he was just filming with into his pocket, probably to protect.
So he put his phone in the pocket. Obviously, if it was a gun, they would not have allowed him to get that back in the pocket before he would have taken some serious heat at that point, right?
This is when multiple ICE officers descend on him. They attack him while he's attempting to help the person in gray up. Here it appears one of the officers pistol whips the victim in the head.
Now, let's just be real about this, right? Most of us as men, right? I'm speaking for just the men's side of it. If you have females with you, typically you try to protect them, make sure they don't get hit by a car. You stand on the outer side facing the street. You try to protect the women. So at any rate, we don't know who these women were to the man. And perhaps they were relatives, a crush, or maybe a mate. Who knows, right? But it was something to the fact that this man wanted to protect these women. So far, so good. Let's keep going.
Numerous times. The victim, meanwhile, keeps his arms at all times, either on the ground in front of him or basically right in front of his head. We see the officer in gray grabbing at and trying to pull something from his waistband. This appears to be the alleged weapon that he was carrying.
Okay, so again, if you see the officer there with the blue jeans, he has on the gray top. He walks over, and actually, when we look at this video, you can actually see on the left side of the individual that lost his life, there is a gun in his waistband, it appears to be. This officer comes and removes the gun, and he turns around. He secured at least one weapon, the weapon that the media and also law enforcement has revealed that he did have one weapon, right? So this weapon is secured at this moment. And then notice how long after he turns around that the other officer takes the man's life.
Important to note that it's been confirmed that the victim had a permit to carry in Minnesota. Both concealed and open carry are permitted in Minnesota with a...
Okay, so he had a permit to have this weapon. Now, we're going to go over a little bit later where Kash Patel is saying you shouldn't bring any weapons to a protest, okay? Sounds okay, rather reasonable, I guess.
License. After he has been disarmed, this officer then crosses behind him.
Guys, we have 1,200 people, 1,300 people. Please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys for all the support. Truly appreciate it.
And begins to shoot him in the back.
You see that? He walks up. The man is kneeling down, almost like a guy that's going to pray, right? He's on his knees. He's kneeling forward, and he's shot from behind by the officer. We have to just wonder what's happening here.
A total of 10 shots by my count.
A total of 10 shots, right? Not as if the first shot wouldn't have done it, especially from behind. And also, you have all these, some have said maybe 4, 6, 8 officers surrounding him, and his weapon is gone. He no longer has a weapon at this point. So tell us in the audience, give us a reasonable understanding as to why his life was taken at this point. Now, before you answer the question, I want you to think about this man as being your brother. Now, we're not going to look at him as being a Democrat or a liberal or a Republican or a MAGA. We're not going to look at it that way. He's a human being, perhaps even your father, your brother, right? Explain in the audience why on earth he was shot. And I'm open to any type of great arguments, but I want you guys to honestly explain why this man was shot. Okay, Nick says, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Okay, all right. I think it's the chat's going so fast, but Hermes says let's see if I can find corrupted government. Okay, Crazy Jam says they're criminals. Okay, are you talking about ICE or are you talking about the protesters? Sterling says the agent took his life for no reason at all. He didn't care about his life. These agents don't care about Americans. Okay. All right. But still, we don't have any solid argument as to a good reason to shoot the man at this point when he's on his knees. He's already backed away. He's saying it's okay. He gives his back to the officer. He puts his hand in the air. I mean, what more can the man have done? He put his cell phone in his pocket. At no point in this video so far do we see the man. Now, keep in mind, I'm the same guy that told you, listen, I showed you the lady actually nudged the officer with her vehicle. Now, we could debate and talk about why that happened and so forth, but at least we tried to take the videos for what they're worth. Okay, Kennedy says carrying a gun legally does not mean he should have been shot. Okay, so we have a lot of explanations as to why he should not have been shot, right? But I want to hear from someone to help us to understand why he should have been shot. Because I see day in, day out, there's so many people saying, yeah, he got what he deserved. But give us an educated explanation as to why the man is shot here. The gun is gone, right? He's on his knees. He's shot from behind. Okay? Now, this is your father, your brother. I want you to speak from that reference point. I want some of the people that constantly talk about this. I just want to hear your educated example. Let's see. I don't see anybody giving a reason as to why the officers took this man's life. Okay, let's see here. Amy says murder. He was murdered. Simple as that. Okay, so you're speaking from the reference point. Okay. But we're looking for someone, and thank you for your comment. I want to finish that out. She says a non-threat taken out because he didn't agree with ICE agenda Americans being silenced. Okay, thank you. But can we find a comment from someone explaining why he should have been killed? Let's see. Head Snap says it's clear he was interfering with the law enforcement and he was armed. he showed up to commit an act of violence. Okay, that does not explain why he should have been shot. Can somebody please, okay, I'm going to give it another 2 minutes. I'm going to give it another 2 minutes and see if someone could please explain why on earth the man was shot, okay? Because I get these comments when I'm live and doing things and I'm on a different subject, right? But today I have time for you, anyone that wants to give a good argument as to why he was shot. So we got to go through this, and I want to do this. So let's see here. Can we get some explanations here? Eileen says he wasn't shot one time, he was shot 10 times. Correct. Yes, we went over that earlier, 10 times at least. Okay, Regina says he shouldn't have been there. Okay, he shouldn't have been there. That's a argument in the negative of it, but can you explain why he got shot? We're trying to surgically chisel in. It looks like we're not going to get that. 8971 says he took a gun to a peaceful protest because prior to that, people on the left were calling for armed protesters, so he showed up armed and he paid the price. Okay, under these circumstances and what we saw in the video, explain why he should have been shot. That's what we're looking for. I can understand you could say, well, he showed up for a fight and he got what he deserved. Okay, I get that. But could we just focus on the question at hand? Robert says these idiots just don't get it. You don't impede with law enforcement. So true, so true, so true. Douglas says warring on the Constitution by ICE. Okay, all right, very good. Thank you, but still we don't have any explanations. All right, so I guess we'll just keep moving. I thought we would get someone to explain, pinpoint exactly why he was shot under these circumstances, because we just went through the video, right? Let's welcome in Calvin Johnson, criminal defense attorney. We're so happy to have him here today for News at Noon. Calvin, how are you?
How you doing, man? How you doing? Hey, man, first of all, I'm glad to be back with you today. But as we see what happened in this situation, people are once again deflecting. Why was he there and this and that? Even if he was there, he did not deserve to be shot 10 times. And I don't think that that particular situation called for him to be shot 10 times. And when we look at the protocols typically used by law enforcement, once you have somebody under control, you get their hands behind their backs. There were a number of them already on top of him. They could have placed him in handcuffs if they thought he was doing something that he wasn't supposed to do. But instead, he took 10 bullets. And when you look at the situation with all of the video that's out there, not only did he take 10 bullets, he literally had the gun removed away from him by another officer. And while he's on the ground, he's shot 10 times. I don't think that there's any reasonable explanation for this. Our eyes did not lie to us. The video is not lying to us. And I think that they're going to have a very hard time explaining this.
Does the fact that he had a gun on him and magazines, does that mean, can you impute bad motives to him?
No, it's open carry in Minnesota. Look, I'm from Texas. We got guns down here. Everybody carries down here. And people have open carry in Minnesota. So him having a gun doesn't mean he had bad intentions. A lot of people carry guns where they go, everywhere they go now because of the open carry laws that are in Minnesota. And if you look at the right, and we won't talk about right and left, but when you look at the Second Amendment, we won't even make it a right thing. The Second Amendment has a right to bear arms. So you have a right to have a weapon, especially in a state like Minnesota that's open carry.
Okay. Regina says he should not have been there. What do you think?
He's from Minnesota, right? He has a right to be on the street in Minnesota where he's from. Those ICE officers typically are not even from Minnesota. So I can live somewhere in some particular city and 20 years, 10 years, 15 years, and I'm not supposed to be there, but ICE agents can just roll in and they can be there and they can do whatever they want. America doesn't work that way. He has a right to be there. It's America. It's a free country.
All right. So I sit in the seat of an independent, right? And so when the previous shooting, when the lady actually, her vehicle nudged the officers, looked like it hit his hip or something to that effect. I was able to say it. and Democrats or whatever got mad. This time around, because we're going through the video and the narrative is not what the Todd Blanche and what the government is saying, people are getting upset because they're saying, oh no, he had a gun, he brandished a gun, and he was trying to attack officers, but we can't find it in the video. So people get mad because the lie is not supported. So what do you say for that?
Well, Mel, unfortunately, when there's 5 different angles probably taken from 5 different people, and a lot of people can't fit their political narratives, they get mad at us. They get mad at you. They get mad at everybody that does not agree with them. And that's the sad part about this. And me and Mel, we've talked several times about this. We want to be a channel upon which we have common sense conversations. Just because you're a MAGA to the right, or if you're a liberal to the left, regardless of where you land, right or left, there are some situations that you just have to use your brain. There's 5 different camera angles, 5 different videos out here that show that this man was unarmed, that this man was shot somewhere between 7 to 10 times, potentially by 1 or 2 ICE officers. Common sense tells you that that is not what we should be doing in America. He should not be losing his life in a situation like that. Law enforcement should not be handling themselves like that. And common sense tells you that if a weapon is taken from an individual and you have law enforcement officers out there and it results in having 7 or 8 of them there, and they take a weapon from a guy and still shoot him 7 to 10 times, that's a temperament issue. That's a training issue. That's an issue upon which maybe they shouldn't even be out in Minnesota doing immigration enforcement the way that they are doing it. I'm not saying that they don't have a right to be doing immigration enforcement, but the way that they are conducting themselves is costing people their lives. It's not that hard. I don't care if you're to the right or to the left. These guys don't have the training or the temperament to be let out on an American street in an urban area with numbers that dwarf the police department by 6 times and being left out in the area that they're not from to do any immigration enforcement or any other enforcement at all. They are not trained. They are not prepared. They don't have the right temperament. They don't need to be out there. The government needs to pull them back. They need to train them, and they need to rethink what they're doing. And when it comes to ICE enforcement, because this is starting to lead to death.
Okay, very good. So now I want to move on, and I want to show you what Donald Trump has to say in regards to this matter. Let's move on to that. Guys, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Calvin, before we move on, can you tell everybody what you do?
My name is Attorney Calvin D. Johnson. I'm a 24-year attorney. I'm going into my 25th year. I practice state, local, and federal criminal defense. I've been doing this in my own firm for the last 24 years. I hold a degree from St. Mary's University School of Law, and I hold degrees from Howard Payne University in political science and history. And I also attended the High School for Public Services, Government, and Law. So for the last 40 years, I have been involved in law enforcement, not law enforcement, but the law or government in some shape, form, or fashion for the last 40 years. And I've been a practicing attorney for 25 years. So when I look at what's happening in America right now, I think I am qualified to be able to give you my opinion, my knowledge, my legal experience when it comes to issues of politics and the law in America right now.
All right. You're speaking about all of your degrees. There's a guy online, he goes by the name of Rashad Ritchie, that some YouTubers have come out to say that he obtained his degree in Haiti and he can't practice in the United States. Is that true?
I think it is true. I've been watching several videos of where he got his degree from. And that's just why we got to be extremely careful about who we get information from. And I'm not saying Mr. Ritchie can't give you his opinion on what he thinks about the world. But when you have a show like ours and you're on YouTube or you on a public platform, we have people that have legitimate degrees. Howard Payne University is a legitimate university in Texas with great history. St. Mary's University School of Law is the only law school in the city of San Antonio, and it's one of the 9 or 10 law schools that we have that's accredited in the state of Texas. And so each of these schools have rich history. You can go check them. You can see that I am a degreed individual from those institutions. When it comes to people like Mr. Ritchie and some of the other people that are out here, when you go and look at the schools that they said they went to, you can Google them. They come up. Some of them come up as homes or other businesses. And when you look at the programs that these alleged individuals took to get their degrees, sometimes those programs don't even exist. And degrees in the areas that they say they're getting degrees in, some of these schools don't even offer. So when you have a show like ours, like me and Mel came, he found me. He knows I'm a legitimate guy. I'm a legitimate lawyer. I've been practicing for a number of years. The only reason why I can jump on today is because we're having a snowstorm in Texas. So I'm kind of stuck home and the courts are closed. But with that being said, Mel has legitimate people with legitimate credentials on this show, and we're going to try to give you the most legitimate information as possible.
All right. A lot of people are actually saying that ICE should be removed from Minnesota, but would you rather would you rather deal with ICE or deal with the Somalians who they say are committing fraud?
I think ICE needs to be removed. They need to be trained because at the end of the day, do I want Somalians in Minnesota committing fraud? No, I do not. But I do not want to lose the lives of American citizens. And what's happening right now, in the last month, we've had a lady and a man lose their lives. It's not worth somebody dying. It's just not. If you were going to do immigration enforcement, you need to do a number of things. I'm going to line them out for you. Number one, you need to hire qualified people. A. B, when you hire those qualified people, you need to train them so that they can make sure that they know what they're doing and know how to do it when you get them where you're going to send them. Number two. Number three, officers, ICE officers, police officers, law enforcement, they also have to have the right temperament. People go like, what do you mean right temperament? You have to have the right temperament because you have a weapon. You have the ability to arrest people. You have the ability to shoot people. You have the ability to possibly even kill someone. So with that being said, there needs to be some kind of psychological test that say when you're in that situation and those stressors hit you, that you know how to manage situations and manage yourself. In addition to that, the government needs to look at its strategy of sending 6 times as many officers to a place like Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota only has 450 to 500 officers. There are 3,000 ICE officers in Minnesota. That means there's 6 times as many ICE officers as police officers. And these officers don't know the lay of the land. So we need to make sure that they pull ICE back, they properly train them, and they have to make sure that they know what they're doing before they're sent out to do a job. They're going to get themselves killed and they're going to end up killing other people. And that's going to be a problem in America right now.
What about the argument? Donald Trump actually went out. He campaigned that he would get rid of illegal immigrants. He wants them out of here. The American people who liked that message, they got behind Trump and they actually voted for him. And right now, the argument from President Trump is that I'm simply doing what I was hired to do. What do you think?
We didn't hire you to kill people. We didn't hire you to send officers out there that are poorly trained, that are actually killing American citizens. That's not what they voted for. And because I didn't vote for you. I'll just be honest with you. I mean, straight up. But for people who did vote for you, that's not what they voted for. They did not vote for you to go out and kill people.
Okay, very good. Let's check out and see what Donald Trump had to say in regards to this matter.
Republicans are joining Democrats, calling for a full investigation into the killing of Alex Pretti by Border Patrol agents in Minneapolis.
What we're seeing on TV, it's causing deep concerns over federal tactics and accountability.
Senator Bill Cassidy calling the situation disturbing, writing the credibility of ICE and DHS are at stake. Senator Lisa Murkowski adding ICE agents do not have carte blanche in carrying out their duties. Others taking issue with how quickly the Trump administration made an assessment, labeling Pretti a domestic terrorist without providing any evidence. John Mitnick, who served in President Trump's first term.
What do you say in regards to the Trump administration labeling him as a terrorist without even having all the facts?
He's a veteran hospital employee. What do you mean he's a terrorist? That man worked for the federal government taking care of our veterans. We got to stop playing games with narratives and trying to label people. That's not going to work here. You killed an American citizen who works as a nurse, who works for the federal government. You had one federal employee basically kill another federal employee. This man was a nurse. He took care of our veterans. Let's stop with the lunacy. Let's stop with the foolishness. We did not wake up this morning, just born this morning. I mean, people have common sense. You cannot say that this guy's a terrorist. He worked as a nurse in a veterans hospital. He's a federal employee. We got to stop playing games just because you agree with the politics. It's okay if you don't want people to obstruct justice. It's okay if you're a Republican. It's okay if you're a Democrat and you're upset. It's okay that you don't like Trump. But let's be honest, right down the middle, this is lawlessness.
Okay.
This is a dictatorship. This is embarrassing. It's flat out embarrassing. Look at this. Even some Republicans are saying, I am enraged and embarrassed by DHS's lawlessness, fascism, and cruelty. There are people out here that look at what's happening and say, wait a minute. Do you want people walking up on you that are masked with no IDs, not being able to tell who they are? So even if you have a problem with an officer, you can't even identify who the officer is. That's not what we should be doing in America. America did not vote for that.
Okay, very good. Let's keep moving here.
Of Homeland Security criticizing the agency, saying I'm enraged and embarrassed by DHS's lawlessness, fascism, and cruelty. But top Trump officials continue to double down. FBI Director Kash Patel suggested it is illegal to bring a gun to a protest.
You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple.
Overnight.
Is that the law?
Listen, if you want to do immigration enforcement is one thing. We don't have a problem with that. But you're doing so in a way that are compromising people's constitutional rights for free speech. You're trying to compromise their constitutional right to bear arms. You're trying to compromise their constitutional rights. And we can't allow somebody to, in the name of immigration, to consistently, A, compromise people's constitutional rights, number one. Number two, kill people. We'll make that number one. They're killing people. Within a month, 2 American citizens have lost their lives to ICE, to the people who are supposed to be doing our immigration enforcement, because they're poorly trained, they're out of control, they don't have the right temperament, and the hiring policies of the ICE and the DHS, they need to be called into question, and we need an overhaul of those agencies. And the president needs to rethink how he is doing what he is doing, because it is causing the loss of human lives. And eventually, some people on the other side are going to start losing their lives because people are tired of it. You're not going to continue to go out and kill American citizens and expect people to just stand by and be okay with it. That's not going to happen. I mean, stuff is going to start happening in America, and it's not going to be. It's not going to be a good thing for us.
Okay. Bishop Bond says Rittenhouse did. He brought a gun to a protest.
Bingo. Not only did he bring a gun, he had it out, and he was pointed, and he shot people, and he walked. So let's not act like now, because Rittenhouse is a Republican, I'm getting people on the Republican side saying, hey, he's an American, he has a right to bear arms. But when a nurse and a veterans affairs or veterans hospital nurse concealed carry gun owner carries his weapon, and there's a protest, now he can't carry his weapon, but Kyle Rittenhouse was okay to carry his weapon, and he's a hero. See, people have to remember history. Look at what you did a year or two ago when Rittenhouse shot people, and look at what you're doing now. It's about painting narratives that agree with your politics. And if you're doing that and you come on this channel We're going to talk about it. If you're doing that and we're having conversations, we're going to call you out on it, whether you're on the left or the right. In this situation, the right has to get called out. I'm sorry. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is against what I think that they even voted for. I think this is it's un-American. I think it's unconstitutional. We should not have two people lose their lives to a governmental agency that's poorly trained, that's been dropped in the middle of a city that they know nothing about. Sorry, it is what it is.
All right. Thank you. All right, let's check out some more.
President Trump telling the Wall Street Journal he doesn't like any shooting, adding, quote, "But I don't like it when somebody goes into a protest and he's got a very powerful, fully loaded gun with 2 magazines loaded up with bullets also. That doesn't play good either." It's a stark contrast to what many Republicans, including the president, had to say about Kyle Rittenhouse, seen here carrying an assault-style rifle through Kenosha, Wisconsin in 2020, before opening fire, killing 2 men. He was acquitted on the charges. President Trump called him a very nice young man. Minnesota officials say Pretti was a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry, a right protected under the Second Amendment.
Does the president of the United States have double standards?
He definitely does have double standards. And let's call it what it is. If you agree with him and you agree with his politics and you support him and you're on the side that he supports, he will justify your behavior. If you're on the side that he doesn't support, if you say something against him that he does not like, or if you say something that disparages him or disrespects him, then he is not on your side, and you can do exactly what somebody on the right side did, and he's not going to say anything about it. He's going to call you out on yours, but he won't say anything to the right when they do it. Let's just be honest, start calling a spade a spade. This president is not interested in leading everybody in this country. He wants to appease the people that voted for him. He wants to appease the people in the red state, and he wants to go after everybody that's in the states that do not support him, and in the cities, the urban areas that don't support him. He wants revenge, and that's what he is taking out on America. But I'm telling you right now, the inner city and these places are not going to have it too much longer. They're going to start fighting back, and that's what's going to start happening if we don't do something about these untrained ICE agents running around into these urban areas and shooting people.
All right. Some people are wondering if they could come on the show. Definitely the last 15 minutes, you're welcome to come up and express yourself. I want to move on and show you what's happening in regards to the Attorney General in Minneapolis.
Large-scale protests continue in Minneapolis as a court hearing is scheduled for today after a Trump-appointed judge ordered DHS to preserve all evidence in the fatal shooting of Alex Pretti, following a lawsuit filed by the state. DHS says the 37-year-old ICU nurse was armed when a Border Patrol agent shot and killed him. We want to warn you, this footage may be hard to watch.
People, what the is wrong with you? Honestly.
Todd Blanche. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche joining us now. And Todd, we stopped the tape before shots rang out, but I want to get quickly your reaction to this hearing coming up today, this judge issuing a TRO on altering or destroying evidence.
Look, we'll be in court today. There's an ongoing investigation, as we've said, all weekend, and obviously we're not destroying evidence. And so, to the extent that the state of Minnesota wants to make this a show and go in front of a judge to insist that we do something we're absolutely not ever going to do, we'll be there. But this was a tragic situation that happened, and the fact that now we're going to go to court to say exactly what we're doing, which is, of course, we're investigating. We always investigate any conduct like this, any shooting like this, and we'll get to the bottom of everything that happened. But it is extraordinarily important that we do not jump to conclusions about anything that happened on Saturday morning. And remember what we saw on Saturday morning, what we all saw in that 10, 15-second video is not the whole story. And every American should know that. the story goes way beyond that. It starts with the fact that literally for months we have received zero.
Okay. All right. So, what do you think in regards to what he's saying and protecting the government?
Well, I know he's trying to be calm and he's trying to keep people under control so they're not so angry. But when you have a situation like this, people are tired of it. When you come out as a government, and I think that Bondi and her crew and the federal government, they have totally played this the wrong way. They come out on these press conferences, they make these statements. We look at these videos, and then they tell us A, B, and D happened when we know X, Y, and Z happened. And it's right in our faces. And I know he's trying to come across as being measured, and he's trying to give people time to explain themselves, to give us the whole story. But the government is not doing that. They're coming out basically justifying that this man getting pew-pewed or killed, and they shouldn't be doing that. And I understand what he's trying to do is trying to be responsible and keep the calm, but that has to be a message coming from the top down, and it's not.
Okay, let's move on a little bit here. And let's see.
Zero assistance from the state of Minnesota and any assistance from law enforcement. And it leads to what you saw on Saturday morning, which is out of control rioters and a tragic situation unfolding.
I want to get to what we saw and how the DOJ characterizes what is available to us. But I do want to play for you. Minnesota's Attorney General Keith Ellison is basically saying that you guys are not preserving the crime scene. Listen here. Here's what he said.
So what do you think in regards to? I don't care if you're conservative, liberal, or whatever, but you should at least be in favor of conserving evidence in a homicide, and to have to go get an order from a judge to preserve that evidence is extraordinary and should alarm everyone who believes in equal justice under the law and who believes that every person, no matter how this case ultimately is resolved, deserves to have their case investigated to get to the truth of what.
Do you think that this message is correct?
I think it is. I think it is, Mel, because I think Keith Ellison is basically telling people, hey, listen, everybody has the right to have equal protection under the law. Everybody has the right to be protected. And I think the message that Mr. Ellison is putting out is proper. But I'm going to tell you, as an attorney general for a state like Minnesota, when you start losing your citizens to federal agents that have come into your city and your state that are untrained, there's only so much you're going to be able to do. People are going to expect you as the attorney general of a state to advocate for them to make sure that this no longer happens. There's going to have to be some kind of controls put on the federal government at this point. They can't come into a state, kill people and wreak havoc, send untrained officers to do what they're doing. This needs to stop. Somebody needs to put a stop to it. And the states that are allowing this, they need to also start setting out their autonomy against the federal government, because at this point, sending untrained officers into places like Minnesota, Minneapolis, it's causing their citizens their lives, and they have a right to protect their citizens in their state.
Okay, we're going to switch up a little bit. We're running out of time, but China has a big problem, and that problem is caused by the United States of America. Let's get to it.
Welcome back. China's top military general accused of leaking Beijing's nuclear weapon secrets to the United States, allegedly accepting bribes for official acts. The general considered Xi Jinping's most trusted military ally. This reportedly is part of a larger aggressive dismantling of China's military leadership, as Xi Jinping supposedly is cracking down on corruption and disloyalty. Some experts questioning whether this is impacting China's military readiness. Joining me now is Gatestone Institute senior fellow Gordon Chang. Gordon, great to see you. You know, this is a story that you and I have touched on over the years, but I'm wondering what you think about this now, because if Xi Jinping has been weakened, which we know that he has since having that mini stroke years ago, why is he taking out, why is his lead military guy being taken out? Is that his decision or the Politburo's decision? What are your thoughts on this story?
Yeah, I think that General Zhang Yashao, who was the #1 uniformed officer, first vice chairman of the Communist Party Central Military Commission, was Xi Jinping's adversary in the military.
Guys, we have 1,000 people here. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Calvin, how in the world does the United States infiltrate China's top military? What's happening?
Hey, but that's a game that goes both ways. When I say goes both ways, when you have a lot of money and you have a lot of influence, and I heard that China, they don't really pay their people really enough money for the jobs that they do. And you got some of these guys that either A, want to make more money, or B, they're not completely in favor of what the government in China is doing. And so they have decided that they're going to do what they need to do for their families. So if you offer them a few $100,000, offer them $1 million, and their families can live better and have money, some of these guys will turn on the government. But I'm telling you, if this guy turned on the Chinese government, these may be the last active pictures we see of him alive, because they don't take that treason lightly. But when you look at it, even when it comes to American citizens that work in the government, we've had our issues like Aldrich Ames and the people in the past. You have a person who's working for the government who either A, is not making enough money, who was greedy, or B, they have decided that they no longer want to fight for the cause and doing the job that they're doing, and they figure out a way to monetize that. So it doesn't surprise me that China is having the problems right now with some of its top officials being bribed to give up military information.
There's been so many narratives that the United States is very weak and cowardly throughout the world. But now that Donald Trump is back, it appears that the United States is strong. In fact, they're hitting Venezuela, Greenland, shaking them up, Africa dropping bombs, and then in China, infiltrating the military. Is it safe to say that the United States is the leader of the free world?
I think that you got to have some balance. You got to be loved and feared a certain amount. If you have too much of one, you're going to have a problem. And I think right now, maybe people are afraid of us. But remember, we need to be extremely careful because our economy is delicate. We're in so many places and through so many organizations in the entire world. We have to be very careful about how we use our power. Yes, are we the most powerful country in the world? Yes. But we got to be extremely careful about how we use that power, because that power can corrupt you. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, is what they say. So if we continue to use our power in the way we've been using it, eventually it could hurt us. So we need to be careful about how we use our power and when we use it.
Okay, very good. Stella says like, share, and subscribe, and turn on your notifications to be notified of upcoming shows. I want to switch up a little bit. I want to talk to you about Israel is playing a key part in definitely pushing a narrative that keeps Israel #1, in many cases, even over the United States. In fact, in the current media, they're saying that the United States is in Israel's pocket so much that people are concerned, right? Recently, there's been some change, some purchasing with TikTok. I want to get to this and see what you think.
This big open question of how is this effective ban on this app going to play out. This looks like a resolution that should keep TikTok continuing to operate in the United States and under a new structure that is majority owned in the U.S. itself. I think there are real questions about whether this really adheres to all the limits in the law that Congress adopted. But at the same time, I'm not sure there's going to be much will to push back on that at this point. It's looking like this might be the end of this saga, and it might let TikTok continue under this new structure.
So one of the concerns I think a lot of folks kind of carried was didn't want the Chinese government to have access to U.S. Residents' data, their personal information. Do we have safeguards up for?
Okay, so here we get a chance to hear that China is allegedly behind. The big concern about TikTok is that China is behind taking the Americans' information. So Donald Trump said that they would push back on it. But Netanyahu said something different. He said that they wanted to have their hands into the TikTok deal because a lot of videos were being showed of what's happening in Gaza, and it was giving them bad press. So they wanted to change the narrative by controlling TikTok. So what is the real truth?
And see, that's what we got to be careful about. If you control the media, sometimes you control the people. And I think we need to be extremely careful. Israel is extremely pragmatic and they're smart people. If you like Israel or not, you got to be smart enough to know that when they see a medium like TikTok or YouTube or with Facebook or whatever it is, they're going to want to use that to their advantage. And so we definitely know and understand that that should be happening. So we need to make sure that we realize when it's happening, and that those particular countries like Israel, they're going to make sure that they have a hand in it. And when it comes to China, I personally think China allows a lot of stuff on TikTok that's misinformation and that really gets into the heads of our kids because they want to be able to destroy our country with information. So when you look at Israel and what they're wanting to do in terms of controlling certain narratives, and then when you look at places like China using the TikTok and the social media to infiltrate our youth, our kids, and our media, we got to pay attention to what's happening with TikTok from in both directions.
You know, the Christians in accordance with the Bible is all about love. Love your fellow man. Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself, right? But the Christians, when they started to go on the TikTok and see what was happening in Gaza and people were being unalived like rapidly, that's when a lot of the leaders of the Christians, at least from the media, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, these individuals started to turn on Israel because they're like, hey, we're Christians. We can't go for that.
Exactly. And you know, some people have even said that they had a hand in what happened to Charlie Kirk. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, and I'm not going to put that on them. But when you look at people like Candace Owens and even Charlie Kirk and some of the other people, they were beginning to speak up against Israel and what they were doing. So you have to be extremely careful when you deal with stuff like that, because controlling information and controlling narratives, that's very important to certain people in certain countries.
Right. Do you believe in distractions? Do you think that perhaps Epstein files was closing in on Donald Trump or his administration? So then they come up with all of these other narratives just to take the eyes off the ball.
I think I wouldn't put that past them, but people are not going to forget about Epstein. When you look at the stuff that he did, the destruction that he caused, we may temporarily forget about it, but we're going to get back and we're going to continue to ask for the next 3 years that this person is president, where are the Epstein files? We want to see them.
Okay, so our final question of the day I wanted to get to. We've looked at the video in regards to the death of this young man, this nurse out in Minnesota, right? How do you solve the problem of people saying, hey, he had a gun, he was going after the officers, and then you see the video, he actually had a cell phone, and there's no indication in the video that he tried to do anything to an officer, but he was shot from behind. What do you say about that?
Well, you just look at the video, and if you're somebody who wants to justify what happened to this man, you need to look in the mirror. I'm not going to argue with you and say my eyes lied to me. Look at the video. If you think that you want to believe what they told you, there's several videos out here to actually show what happened. And if you want to justify that, that's on you. You got to call a spade at this point, Mel. If those folks want to look at that video and let these people lie to them and believe it, then that's on you. But the rest of us don't have to do that, and we're not going to do that. And we're not going to allow this to continue to happen, because if you can unalive somebody and lie about it, we're not going to continue to take that. People are not going to have it, whether you're from the right or the left. And I've heard people some people even on the right talk about this. It's not acceptable what they did. It's not acceptable how they carried themselves out that day. And I don't have anything to say to anybody who wants to come to me with that argument when we got plenty of video that says what they say happened did not happen. I mean, it's just point blank. Either you believe your eyes or you believe their mouths. And I'm not believing their mouths. I'm believing my eyes.
All right. You know, I'm an independent. Here at Watching the World, we have a lot of Republicans, we have a lot of Democrats, and we come together pretty much every day, and we try to have a meeting of the minds. What do you think is going to be needed in order for us to cool the heads in America and get back to growing and trying to elevate instead of us trying to take each other's heads off?
We got to be honest. Listen, I don't like what the Democrats were doing with immigration. They were for letting far too many people in here, and that needed a stop needed to be put to that. We also needed to not spend money on people that were just walking across. I mean, I was not in favor of that. But I'm also not in favor of ICE agents running to cities that they know nothing about, shooting and killing people. You have to be able to say, whether you're on the left or the right, you have to be able to have common sense type conversations like we're having. I'm not some anti-Republican, anti-Trump person, whatever it is, what it is. If he does something I don't like, I'll say it. If the left does something I don't like, I'm going to say it. We have to be willing to have the conversations, real conversations that are not based on if you're right or if you're left. I've had people on the right come justify what happened on the camera in this situation. You have people on the left come justify what happened the last time. Everybody has to be able to use common sense, come right down the middle, and start having some real conversations, regardless of what aisle politically that you're on or what side you put yourself on. We're all Americans. We need to start paying attention. We need to also realize that sometimes asking the difficult questions of the side that you on is needed. Sometimes the left needs to be asked certain things. Sometimes the right needs to be asked certain things. And we as citizens have to be willing to do that, even if you're on the left or the right. So that's where we need to, that's what we need to do. That's where we need to go. And that's where we're going to have to do a better job of. We can't have our politics frame our opinions about what we see with our eyes. And that's what's happening here.
Okay. Before we close out, could you share some closing remarks for those in the audience who are looking to make sense of what happened in Minneapolis?
Listen, does the president have the right to send ICE to cities to do immigration enforcement? Yes. But he also has the responsibility to send trained officers in reasonable numbers to make sure that these people are, number one, trained, make sure they understand where they're going, and make sure that they follow the law and they do not violate people's constitutional rights. Nobody voted for this president to send ICE to cities to kill American citizens. And at the end of the day, we got to have a real conversation about what's going on here. Instead of immigration enforcement, what we have happening is citizens actually getting killed, 2 in this past month. How's the world looking at us? How's somebody who's going to be a tourist that wants to come to America to visit looking at us? Look at how our children are looking at us. Look at how the American public is looking at the rest of us. We need to have some stability. We need some leadership. We need to hire ICE officers. If they're going to be hired at all, they need to be trained. They need to have rules. They can't go out and violate people's constitutional rights. And we got to start being realistic about what that agency can and will do, and that they do it in a fashion that does not cost American lives. That's what we got to do, and that's my last word for tonight.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Thanks.
We'll see you guys tomorrow at News at Noon. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Different voices, but the same song. Building a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the thing remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.